189th virtual presser of the Task Group on Food Security. Ang layo na po ng nararating natin. Now, this Task Group on Food Security is chaired by no less than our Agriculture Secretary, ang pinakamamahal nating si Dr. William D. Dar, and it is comprised of 23 more national government agencies directed to make action plans and implement these towards the following sub-task groups: food resiliency, energy, food value chain and logistics, water, agribusiness, food procurement and distribution, economic intelligence, strategic communications, and aquaculture and fisheries, especially ngayong COVID-19 pandemic. That's why nabuo po ang task group on food security. It was really for the pandemic. Now, we are nearing the month of May. We are in the month of May, and walang tigil po talaga ang pagtrabaho ng ating mga farmers and fishers. Napakarami ng agricultural crisis, tumataas ang presyo ng mga bilihin, pero nandyan pa rin po ang ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda na naninigurado na sapat ang supply ng ating pagkain sa merkado. Kaya naman every May po, parang Santa Cruzan ito ng DA, we celebrate the Farmers and Fisher Folks Month bilang pagpupugay sa kanila. And upang ibahagi po sa atin ang karagdagang insights tungkol sa celebrations na ito and to talk to us about the special activities and also the fishery sector na rin. Mamaya, magbibigay po tayo ng ibang mga impormasyon na kailangan malaman. Kasama natin si Undersecretary for Fisheries and Agri-Industrialization, si Ma'am Cheryl Marie Natividad Caballero. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Magandang hapon, Frances.
Nice to have
at sa
you here
ating
po.
mga tagapakinig at ikinagagalak kong maging bahagi ng ating pakikipag-ugnayan sa ating mga partners na nakikinig ngayon at nanonood sa programang ito. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Let's discuss the Farmers and Fisher Folks Month po. Ano yung pakay ng selebrasyong ito?
Well, number one, ang pagpapasinaya, it's a celebration and one way of acknowledging the contribution ng ating mga farmers and fisher folk sa kabuuan ng ating agrikultura at pangisdaan. Alam naman natin na ang sektor na ito ay isa sa mga basic na kailangan ng ating bansa upang masiguro ang pag-unlad ng kabuhayan at pagsiguro ng ating source ng pagkain and livelihood. So this month will take into account the celebration, which includes, of course, the usual activities. May mga film showing tayo, meron tayong exhibits, at meron tayong celebration of partnerships. So this time, it will also include the corporate social responsibility and linking with the private sector that can fund projects within the 1DA platform to leverage our resources at makalayo yung ating programa sa pakikipagtulungan ng iba't ibang mga institusyon. Pangalawa din ay it will really be one way of hearing from our farmers and fisher folks ang kanilang tagumpay. So it will showcase their best practices and how the agriculture and fisheries sector has helped them address their needs and self-actualization.
Okay. We celebrate this every year po, ma'am, in the DA. But what's different this year? Ano po ang theme natin? And meron po ba tayong mga priority issues na gusto nating i-address?
Yeah. Well, number one, the priority issue is in the context of masaganang ani at mataas na kita. It is always one of the core purpose of our 1DA reform agenda. Alam naman natin na after nung signing ng AFMA at ng Fisheries Code, we have to now elevate the game, so to speak. And so the National Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization and Industrialization Program is designed to bring everybody and participate in developing the agriculture and fisheries sector, mindful of the challenges and bringing in technological innovations and best practices at the ground level to bring in higher productivity and better livelihoods and incomes.
Yes. You mentioned na po na masaganang ani, mataas na kita. It's been our battle cry since Dr. Dar Sec Dar onboarded in 2019. And you were there from the start po, ma'am, no? From the start of Sec Dar Dar's term. Ano po yung nakikita niyong progress from that time until now?
Well, number one, Secretary Dar, when he came in, was mindful of the basic elements, which is soil and water. In fact, yung Inaglupa movement is aimed really to address the basic components in ensuring productivity. No? And one of the important contribution of the Secretary is to bring the soil health program. And the soil health program takes into account what is there in the soil. So how much carbon is there and what nutrients are available to make efficient yung ating paggamit ng fertilizers and pesticides. So sabi nga natin, a healthy soil makes a healthy plant, and a healthy plant makes healthy human beings and a healthy planet. So all these things have to be taken into consideration, including the contribution of science and technology on our ability to understand evidence-based decision-making in terms of what applications to bring in, appropriate technologies, and of course, we also would have to understand traditional knowledge because yung ating mga ninuno, lalo na yung ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda, ay may karampatang kaalaman na nandyan, na nag-sustain sa kanila over the years. And how will science and technology bring this to core so that we can be able to sustain and elevate it the way it should be able to contribute to national success in the agriculture and fisheries.
Yes, so napakalakas po ng science-based mindset, and yet we still try our hardest to interface with our farmers, ano man yung indigenous knowledge nila on farming. And ma'am, yung term po ni Secdar, it's been riddled by crisis after crisis. Tinawag nga niya itong mga burning issues. So one after the other, nagdatingan sila, nagdagsaan, nandiyan ang COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, sinong makakalimot sa African swine fever. Ngayon naman ma'am, Ukraine-Russia war. Ma'am, ano po yung mga challenges na currently kinakaharap natin in the face of this war? Kasi marami po yung mga naging effects sa agricultural production and of course the prices of inputs. So ano po yung mga solusyon natin para to?
Yeah, well, number one, we have to be mindful that challenges will always be there. No? What is important is how we actualize our ability to understand and adapt and address those challenges. So just as the national government with the leadership of the president was able to contain yung spread ng COVID-19 pandemic. And so sa level ng ating Department of Agriculture, Secretary Dar has always been emphasizing the need to understand the basic challenges. And so one way to do it is to engage in partnerships and understand where various sectors can contribute in addressing these challenges, to link up also with the national and local government units so that in the implementation process, it is actually the rowing function of the LGU that has to be enhanced or strengthened. Mindful of the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, and the national government carrying out better policies to entice also and encourage the private sector to invest and bring in their money relative to ensuring growth in the agriculture and fisheries sector. Kaya nandito yung ating konteksto ng agro-industrial business corridor. So it's an entire gamut of all these interventions, both private, public, community partnerships. So we look at PPCP and also to include yung mga maliliit na interventions para lang maibsan yung challenge, and that includes also the recent one, the fuel discount.
Yes.
And the fuel discount has been approved by both the Senate and the House to implement it, given the 500 million fund to carry that for the farmers and fishers.
Yes.
So madaming mga interventions and the various units or divisions and entities under the Department of Agriculture are effectively carrying this out based on the implementing rules and regulations approved by the Secretary.
Naku, marami pong magtatanong niyan, ma'am, tungkol sa fuel discounts. Kasi you yourself, you're the Undersecretary for Fisheries. Kailangan ng mga mangingisda natin ng tulong para sa petrolyo nila, para sa paandarin yung mga bangka nila. Ano po ba yung mga provisions nitong fuel discount?
Yeah, ito ay discount. So, each recipient will be entitled to 3,000 pesos discount. And for every time na magpakarga sila sa gasolinahan, they get 30% discount. So, ano to, parang wallet na kada karga nila, they will get 30% discount until they are able to use up the entire 3,000. So, this is in partnership with the Development Bank of the Philippines and various gasoline stations all over the country that is going to be implemented by the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, given the list of qualified fisher folk, and sa Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Engineering naman ang ating PMO, which will be implemented naman sa ating corn farmers by the operations group ng ating Department of Agriculture.
And kayo rin po, ma'am, nagbabiyahe rin po kayo para i-address tong fuel difficulties ng ating mga fishers.
Oo,
right?
thank you for mentioning that. In fact, kagagaling lang natin kahapon sa ating isla, no, sa Pag-asa Island. This is one important area that we visited with the National Task Force on West Philippine Sea, headed by Secretary Hermogenes Esperon. So, this is a multi-agency partnership at pinuntahan po natin ang ating Pag-asa Island para lagak doon ang kauna-unahang fuel depot. So, this means that our fisher folk that fish along the areas of the Kalayaan Island Group and in the West Philippine Sea can replenish and go to that fuel depot, not necessarily going back to the mainland sa puerto, which will incur them additional cost. So, this is one area that we really should be proud of because we have communities that are thriving in Pag-asa Island.
Yes. Can't wait to see how that will all work out, no, ma'am? And speaking of challenges na nalampasan natin, at this point po, ma'am, ang dami rating naging accomplishments despite all these, the burning issues. Ano po yung pinakamalaking na masasabi nyo, masashare nyo na accomplishment ng DA for the past 2.5 years?
Yeah, I think we are being measured in terms of the staples and the basic food that we eat, that we consume. So I would like to focus on those things. One, as the Secretary mentioned, we are 92% self-sufficient in palay in 2021. So despite the onslaught of Typhoon Odette, tayo po ay umabot ng almost 20 million or around 20 million metric tons sa bigas in terms of production and available supply. This is almost 2 million metric tons higher as compared to 2019 when we had a record of 18 million metric tons. So it's not an easy fleet to do this, but this is where the program of the Department of Agriculture through the RTL, RCEF, and integrated programs on rice has contributed to this self-sufficiency of 92%. In terms of the fisheries, I'm glad to inform everyone that as per the report of our Philippine Fisheries Development Authority, the fish unloading has increased to 37.69% as compared to February. So meron na tayong 59,988.98 metric tons sa lahat ng rehiyon. No? So this means that more than 50% of that went to Navotas Fishport. So, ito yung nanggagaling pinanggagalingan ng isda sa Metro Manila, kung saan 28,276.47 ang dumating. So, this means that in terms of translation to how it affects the pricing, nasa 240 na ang galunggong. Bumaba na siya. Yan ang fresh, no? Which was around 300 plus in previous months. So, tilapia, which is our mainstay, it's very resilient and reliable. It's selling at 120 and bangus at 160. So, the fisheries sector combines both the source of food from aquaculture
Yes.
and from capture fisheries. So, yun po ang ating pagpapaintindi doon sa kakayanan ng ating bansa na mag-produce ng supply ng pangisdaan, lalo na that we have the 5th longest shorelines in the world, no?
Yes, yes.
And we are in the center of biodiversity. So, these efforts are being discussed in partnership with various industry players, our fisherfolk organization, our Infarmcy, and other processors that would be able to contribute in growing it as an industry that will benefit the next generation as well.
And talagang yumayabong po yung aquaculture sector natin, no ma'am? It's one of the key growth areas po in the coming years. And speaking of the future po, kasi USEC for agri-industrialization po kayo, and industrialization is a fourth pillar of the 1DA reform agenda. Can you talk to us about what the DA's blueprints are for industrialization?
Well, number one, to ensure that the access to affordable and nutritious food is available at all times in the cities, because cities do not really produce food, we have the food quadrants. So we call it the food terminal systems, and the Secretary has coined that to ensure that the location in FTI, in Taguig, can be developed as a food hub for wholesale and retail markets. So, meron po tayong nilaang programa dyan, at the Secretary has been championing that as well. The Navotas Fishport, which is undergoing the biggest improvement and a flagship project of the President at that, is also being positioned as another part of the food hub, food quadrant. So, malaki ho ito dahil ang ating mga producers sa mga probinsya ay magdadala ng kanilang produkto diretso doon kung saan nandoon ang quality control, ang coordination in terms of logistics, and the things that we aim to manage and ensure of pagdating sa accessibility and availability ng food. So, that is one. And then, of course, we also have the agro-industrial business corridor, in terms of the fisheries management areas, kasi ang atin pong pamantayan ng management sa pangisdaan ay ecosystems-based approach to fisheries management, and sustainability is one part of that. So there are so many things to talk about, but we would like now to engage everyone and be part of this platform as we develop collaboration and partnerships across sector and throughout the country, and even partnerships overseas. So, malawak po ito, at ang ating framework ay nakalatag sa 1DA Reform Agenda at sa ating National Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization and Industrialization Plan.
Yan, parang ang dami pong nagaganap, no ma'am? Daming project. Sana po wag mabinbin naman. Talagang, do you agree that 2.5 years are not enough to see all these things through?
Yeah, we always look at ways to partner, no? Because we don't have the monopoly of knowledge. But what is important is that we engage everyone in building up a resilient and progressive agriculture and fisheries sector.
Ma'am, we have enough time to answer questions from our media friends. But before that, let's go to our Agri-Trivia Contest. Manood, sumagot at manalo. Narito na po ang questions for the day. So, i-text ang sagot kasama ang inyong pangalan, space, edad, space, address, space, sagot, at ipadala sa 0969-239-1112 para sa mga smart subscribers at 0995-553-2956 para sa Globe users. Yan po ang aming Agri-Trivia Contest. Now, let's go to the questions from our Agri-Beat reporters. We would like to thank Ms. Annabel Surara of DZEC, Mr. John Enriquez of DZAS, Mr. Jeremiah Figuerola of Radio Veritas, who else? Miss EJ Gomez of the Manila Times for sending in their questions. And lahat po kayo nanonood sa FB, thank you for typing in your questions in the comment section. Na-receive po namin lahat yan, and as much as we can, sasagutin po natin in this section. Ma'am, from Miss Annabel Surara po of DZEC, bakit po patuloy ang pagtaas ng presyo ng galunggong sa ilang pamilihan sa bansa?
Okay, magandang tanong yan. Ano? I think ang presyo ng galunggong ay pababa na, no? Because we must understand na ang galunggong ay nahuhuli lang sa certain season. So, hindi yan year-round. Kaya, tayo naman, ang ating preference ay yung sariwa na galunggong. So, ngayon, ang sariwang galunggong ay nanggagaling sa Palawan, generally, no? And it is at 240 pesos. So, for us to be able to enjoy galunggong year-round, we also have to farm it. At kinagagalak kong ibalita sa inyo na ang ating SIFDEC, no, ang Southeast Asian Fisheries Development Center, ay nakapagpaanak na ng galunggong in captivity.
Talaga?
So, that
hindi
means,
na siya kailangang hulihin?
Hindi na kailangan hulihin. So, those who would like to farm galunggong, hopefully by next year, we should be able to establish the commercialization in controlled environment. So, ibig sabihin, kasi sa ibang lugar, Frances, ang galunggong ay pinapakain sa mas malalaking isda. So, ito ay makakapagpatuloy sa atin, kagaya ng nagagawa siguro sa ating tilapia na stable ang presyo for the past 5 years na 120. Galunggong will be year-round once all these elements of tech transfer to commercialization will be done. So, NFRDI, National Fisheries Research and Development Institute, is now working together with the SIFDEC and BFAR to do this by next year.
Exciting, no? Yung mahal nating isda, galunggong, practically pambansang isda. Hindi, bangus pala yun.
Bangus.
Bangus yun. Na aquaculture product din
Yes,
yan.
yes.
Balik po tayo dun sa celebration of Farmers and Fisher Folks Month. Ano po yung mga special activities or their awards to be given? Tanong po yan ni Mr. John Enriquez of DZAS.
Well, number one, there will be a Thanksgiving Mass to acknowledge, no, ang ating pagpapasalamat sa Panginoon sa mga biyaya na natanggap natin despite the challenges. So that's very important. Second is to showcase the best practices, and meron tayong mga magpapatutuo, no, ng kanilang mga eksperyensya na kung saan, despite these challenges, they were able to address and send their kids to school. So, may mga ganong components. Meron ding mga traditional knowledge na naging basihan ng kanilang pagpapaunlad, no, sa agrikultura. So, that will be one. And then, the collaboration and partnership to include the corporate social responsibility. So, it's one way of engaging the industry, yes, and other business associations to look at the platform for agriculture as a way to bring in their CSR and develop, no, ang ating mga areas.
Medyo mabenta po yung mga tanong, ma'am, about fisheries. From Miss EJ Gomez of the Manila Times, ano raw po yung volume or production of fish and growth prospects for the first quarter and first half of this year?
Yeah, well, I don't have the exact figures now, but during this period, open ang ating pangisda, no? So there's no closed fishing season, lifted. So lahat ng mga fishing grounds natin, ang ating mga municipal fisher folk at commercial fisher folk ay open na mangisda sa kanilang mga respective fishing grounds. At patuloy din na ina-address natin ang ating pangangailangan ng aquaculture production. So, we would be able to have that information, concretize it after our meeting with NFARMC, because this is part of the presentation that we will be doing to the Secretary as a way to understand and help us develop a sustainable and progressive industry in the fisheries sector. So that will be one of the major elements that this administration can contribute.
Thank you, ma'am. Sa FB naman po, meron naman pong nagtatanong tungkol sa agribusiness industrial corridor sa pinapatayo ng DA in several sites. New Clark City, Taguig City. Ano na po yung mga status nito at ilan na raw po ito?
Oo. Magandang tanong yan, Frances. No? Yung sa New Clark City, we have the National Seed Technology Park. So alam naman natin na lahat ng industrialisasyon ay mag-uumpisa sa buto. So we have to ensure that we have reliable quality source of seeds, and we are partnering with the Philippine Seed Industry Association and various NGOs and state universities and colleges to develop this in the context of ensuring quality seeds. So we hope that we are not going to produce only for local consumption of seeds, particularly yung galing sa tropics, no? Tropical country tayo, but also tap the potential for export. So that's one. We are funding that in partnership also with the Dutch government. We also have the ABC in New Clark, in Taguig rather. So meron tayong port doon, yung fish landing na ilalagay to serve those municipalities around the Laguna Lake. So this is in partnership with Laguna Lake Development Authority, the municipality of City of Taguig, and of course the Department of Agriculture and the FTI. So this will be a big ticket project considering that we are looking at ways to ensure yung availability ng fresh food. So nandyan yung mga fattening of crabs, mangrove crabs. So kung kumakain ka nung masarap yung may alige, etc. So we are going to do that, and of course the FTI area will also be one of the major areas to develop pagdating doon sa ating wholesale food market. Ang konteksto ay kagaya ng Rungis market sa France. Wow. So we also have Navotas because we have a big investment there na pinondohan ng ating Pangulo under the flagship program. So these are big contributions that will be carried out hopefully, and we present this as we transition to the next administration.
Yan. Exciting times ahead po, no? Yung future ng agrikultura. Sana talaga we see this finished and we are able to take advantage of it. Ma'am, siguro po we have room for one last question. Ito naman po, napakasimpleng tanong pero sa tingin ko mahirap sagutin. Gaano na ba ka-modernisado at industrialisado ang agrikultura ng bansa? That's from Facebook.
Yeah.
Smart question, no? Pero
gaano ka modernisado? Well, number one, when we talk of modernization, we look at improving things.
yes.
So we always look at from the traditional knowledge, how do we bring in the application of science and technology and innovation in modernizing, no? So the important element here is cost efficiency.
Yes.
And then productivity enhancement. So, doon sa konteksto siguro ng fisheries, makikita natin na meron tayong thriving na canning industry. So, they are already integrated in terms of value chain, global value chain, because we export tuna, 60,000 metric tons to Europe. And for you to get that market and take advantage of the GSP+, there has to be a concerted effort from the sourcing of raw material to processing. So that is where industrialization comes in. The investment on regional fish ports to bring in this access to cold storage, yung mga ice plants, and the blast freezing equipment will will ensure that we have access to sustainable food supply, fish supply year-round. So those are investments that are being done now through the Philippine Fisheries Development Authority. So,
yes. Thank you so much for that answer, ma'am. And at this point, I'm so sorry we are pressed for time, but thank you so much for sitting in and giving us a picture of a very industrialized Philippine agriculture sector in the coming years. Siguro yan, ma'am. Ang dami ng projects na naka-line up, as you said, in fisheries, or ABC. So thank you so much. That was USEC Cheryl Natividad Caballero, Undersecretary for Fisheries and Agri-Industrialization. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you sa lahat ng nanonood ngayon. Napakahalaga po ng pagkain upang manatili tayong malusog at masigla laban sa nagpapatuloy na COVID-19 pandemic. Naway magkaisa po tayo sa pagtiyak na tuloy-tuloy ang supply, produksyon at paggalaw ng pagkain at food production inputs sa bawat sulok ng Pilipinas. Let us be united in ensuring that all Filipinos will have access to safe and quality food items at all times. Nagpapasalamat po tayo sa lahat ng ating frontliners ngayong buwan niyo po, sa mga magsasaka at mangingisda at sa iba-iba pang food heroes na katuwang po natin sa pagtiyak na sapat, abot kaya at ligtas ang ating mga pagkain. Maraming salamat din po sa ating local government units at private institutions na nakikipagtulungan sa ating kagawaran ng pagsasaka para isulong ang maunlad na agrikultura sa bansa. Lubos po tayong nagpapasalamat sa ating 1DA family na walang humpay ang pagkilos tungo sa isang food secure and resilient Philippines with empowered and prosperous farmers and fishers. Sa Radio TV Malacanang, PTV4, PCOO, Radio Pilipinas at higit sa lahat kay Secretary Martin Andanar, salamat sa pagkakataong ibinibigay ninyo sa DA at sa Task Group on Food Security. Para sa mas malawak na impormasyon tungkol sa Philippine agriculture, bisitahin lamang po ang aming website, da.gov.ph, i-like na rin ang aming official Facebook page, Department of Agriculture Philippines, and maaari po kayong mag-tweet sa ating mahal na secretary through our official Twitter account @ManongWillie. At para naman po muling mapanood ang mga nakalipas na virtual pressers at iba pang videos kaugnay sa agrikultura, please visit and subscribe to the Ani at Kita YouTube channel of the Department of Agriculture. And hanggang sa susunod na virtual presser po, 190th, 10 more to go until the 200th virtual presser. Ako po si Frances May Ramos of the Department of Agriculture, thanking you, Sec Ching Caballero, and wishing everyone a safe and bountiful Farmers and Fisher Folks Month.